Castlevania currently streaming on Netflix seasons 3 and 4. So if you have an account, then it's only a few scrolls away from your lazy fingers and thumbs. I think that's what Sai says. So we meet up with Trevor and Sypha again in their wagon heading down a highway, being assaulted by monsters constantly, coming to a nice little remote place with a lot going on and a bit of creepy vibes coming from a priesthood. Also a lot of jokes thrown about Trevor and Sypha's relationship.
Oh my god. That is better than sex.
Better than sex.
Ah, well...
Meanwhile, Alucard is a bit lonely and has went a bit recluse, living in the castle by himself, and is maybe going a bit not right in the head. Also, he eventually comes across two people who used to be part of a vampire's court over in Japan, and they wish for Alucard to train them on how to fight. Also during this time, Trevor and Sypha come across Saint Germain, a man who is looking for something called the Infinite Corridor, which leads to some crazy shenanigans happening, and season 3 kind of builds up to something with that. Meanwhile, Hector, at the end of season 2, if you haven't seen already, got his butt handed to him pretty badly, and has now been taken to Styria, where Carmilla is from, essentially. And he slowly but surely gets worn down by the way they're treating him.
Yes.
Be mine.
Yes. Yes.
Tell me you're mine.
I'm yours.
Not great. Also, the fact that one of them, Lenore, part of the Four Sisters, which is Striga, Carmilla, Lenore, and the fourth one's name escapes me at this point in time, but all four of them, the sisters, rule Styria. And pretty much they send Lenore to manipulate Hector into becoming their unwilling puppet.
Yes. I belong to you.
Be loyal to me.
In basically making them their own army, since he is a Devil Forge master. And the season 3 ends with all characters kind of being in a worse place than we could have thought, which is not great. Okay, so season 4 kicks off with Trevor and Sypha having to fight enemies week by week, constantly going. This causes Sypha to have a bit of a mental breakdown, and yeah, she's not enjoying her time.
Fucking talking here! You turn me into someone who says shit. Fucking shit, hairy arse words, giant slimy balls, shit!
Meanwhile, her and Trevor seem to be going right back to where it all began, Targovishte. And there's a lot more going on there than meets the eye. Also, he's been name dropped at the very start, Death. But is he really Death? That's the question we want to ask. As all these things keep building for Trevor and Sypha, never ending, keep on going, battle after battle. Meanwhile, Alucard seems to be still quite in a bad place from where we left him in season 3.
I should drink more water and less wine. This is coming out as scabs and wax.
But things start to look up for him when he moves to help this village. And the village eventually joins him at the castle. But they're accompanied by an old friend, Saint Germain. What is he planning and what is he up to? That's the question you want to be asking. Meanwhile, Hector seems to be roaming around Styria Castle, putting little ornaments inside cracks in the wall, just like Saint Germain. Everything comes to loggerheads at the end of this season, and I suggest you go see it right now. The animation is over the top for this season. I think there's even a little bit of 3D CGI thrown in there just for good measure. The same thing happened with Season 3. Season 3 and 4 really upped the animation and it looks crazy good. The voice acting is once again pitch perfect. I mean, this time in Season 4 we get Malcolm McDowell, you know, from A Clockwork Orange and also Star Trek Generations. Still a strange one to me. But he voices the character of Death. He does it pretty damn well. Well, you see, it doesn't quite follow the storyline set in the games. It does something a little bit different. And by doing that, it makes it more interesting. As a die-hard fan that's played them for years, I like this. The action seems even more souped up than it was in Season 1 and 2. Season 3 and 4 really bring even more to the table than its predecessors. I mean, Season 2 gave us the epic fight against Dracula, but Seasons 3 and 4 seem to build upon that, and it seems to come to a crescendo with that ending. They're working on a spin-off series, apparently, or some sort of sequel, as far as we know. Well, you see, the thing is, I kind of wish they had brought Death in from Season 1, or at least alluded to him. It kind of feels like he's a little bit shoehorned in here, just for the last season, and for the big, we've got a bigger villain in Dracula than now, it's Death. You know? That's a bit disappointing. As Sai said in the Season 1 and 2 review, it's a little light on backstory, and this kind of hurts Season 4 for the most, as we could have really gotten some great backstory for Dracula, revealing a little bit about him, and maybe even tie in Leon in there, since they really alluded to him a lot in Season 2, and it kind of feels like it went nowhere. Unless they're going to do a prequel series? It doesn't really help this season. And another thing, as Sai also said in the Season 1 and 2 review, those who are not a fan of anime, they're not going to like this. It'll be more of the same, so if you don't like it, I wouldn't come near it. So in conclusion, I would say that it really amps up everything and it's well worth a watch. If you loved Season 1 and 2, then definitely this will resurrect you and bring you back for more. Especially since we're getting more at some point soon.
I'm glad you think so.